And welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Danny Kanell. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Bud Elliott. I'm Chip Patterson coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe, smash that like, and come and join us in the chat, a.k.a. the Cover 3 tailgate. You'd never guess what they want to talk about. You would never guess what they want to talk about. Okay, let's waste 0 minutes. Mikey, can we jump on that carousel? Yes, and of course, the breaking news from Sunday was that Florida had fired Billy Napier. Billy Gonzalez will take over as the interim coach, but first I want to address a coaching change that is not going to happen, it seems, as of this week. Florida State University athletic director making an announcement on Monday morning that he is, quote, fully committed to Mike Norvell this season. And then after the season, we will have a, quote, comprehensive assessment of the football program. Michael Alford admits that the results are not up to the standard. And now I think we need to unpack why the decision to stick with Mike Norvell is happening. I think we need to say, what are the pros and cons here? So Danny, as we start to look at this, 0-4 in ACC play, late night Saturday night, you lose to Stanford as a 3-score favorite. Is this the right decision to stick with Mike Norvell the rest of the year when you are on an off week? I mean, if there was a time to make a move, you've got enough time. You've got an offensive coordinator with head coaching experience who knows how to run a power conference program. Is this the right move, you think, for Florida State?
Have you guys have mortgages, right? Like you financed parts of your house before?
No.
Or buying a car sometimes, but when you have more of a significant financial commitment to make it, does it take like a day or does it take a while to get some of the paperwork in place to make sure you've got all your T's crossed?
Are you talking about the 30 to 60 day window that sometimes it can take to get all the paperwork through with the pay?
I think this is a smart move by Michael Alford, though, to come out and at least say this, because this to me tells me they don't have the money right now. And I think everybody knows that. So you're kind of like, what are you waiting on? And Bud has said this a couple times, and I wanted to push back on it, but I don't think there's any more pushing back. It's not a matter of if, that it's when. And I do think, like, watching that game unfold, I was like, this is unacceptable. Like, this is not. And it's the latest example of being unacceptable. I thought the biggest game of Mike Norvell's career was the game against Pitt. It was at home. It was a winnable game. You lost that one. Then it was like, oh, they're going to Stanford. This is an absolutely must win. You cannot lose this game. And they lose it. Like, how many more of those games can you go through? So to your question, I think it's a financial thing. I think they're going to try to figure out how to make this work financially. And then somehow, if Florida State can win out and you're in a better position, then, hey, maybe you look at it, you reevaluate it, and you don't make a panic move. I don't understand this rush to fire coaches from everybody. So I think it makes sense for me from Florida State. I mean, it could get ugly. I mean, you're already hearing some of these reports. Players are, mocking Mike Norvell. I don't know if those are true or not. I don't know if it was
That's
one
been going
player.
on, though.
Right.
I mean, like he has one pitch he throws. It's very like Baptist revival preacher. How do you respond? Like, even at booster events, he's just very yelly, and like he doesn't really have a changeup or a curveball to throw. Like, that's just, he has one speed, and when things don't go well, like, the players laugh about it. Like, that's for sure. How do you respond? Like they got paid up front. They're going to do what they're going to do. I think like you could pacify like the real extreme of the fans by firing him today.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if you read that statement of the football program, that should include the AD, and I think it will. I'd be very surprised if Mike Alford's the one making this hire solo. I think you'll have a search committee or perhaps at all. Like that's they may need a little more change than just a head coach. if you pull the schedule back up, Mikey, real quick, I think sometimes you make a change because you want to make sure that you still sell tickets or you still have good attendance. Guys, nobody's going to go to Wake Forest or a zombie Va-Tech team that fired its coach a month ago anyway.
Yeah.
Like, those games suck. You already got all your ticket sales and all your attendance happen in the first half of the schedule with Bama, Miami, and Pitt, right? Wake and Virginia Tech are the reasons why you sued to get out of this conference, because nobody in your fan base wants to drive 4 hours from Tampa or 7 hours from Miami to go up there and watch this crap, because they just don't think those teams are attracted to play. Now, granted, you're not real attracted to play either right now. Because the buyout is payable as essentially a line item spread out over 6 years, you don't need to have somebody pledge, $55 million, right? You need to get about 18 months pledged, but you probably also need to get your ducks in a row in terms of, like, are you going to go private equity or private capital? A lot of the programs, what they're proposing to some of their bigger boosters is a bit of like a legacy play, in which, hey, they acquire 10% and then they actually sell off, like 1% each at a bit of an upcharge to like the 10 biggest boosters and stakeholder families in the program. So at least you're like keeping the interest of the program in the hands of people who, like have gone for generations and seem to care about it. Maybe that's in the works, right? Like, I don't think you should take PE to pay a freaking buyout personally, but that's not something that would come together in a day, and certainly not something you would have been working on after a 3-0 start, which included the win over Alabama. But also, like, there's no guarantee that he lasts through the Florida game.
I was going to say, like, this vote does not necessarily mean that we're going to make it to the end of the season for that comprehensive assessment. That comprehensive assessment might be very easy to figure out if things go poorly when they get back in action.
Yeah, that's also,
why I think
like,
they
other
had to
reasons
do
you
something.
might wait. If you want to, maybe you have some leverage to talk a buyout down a little bit. I don't know that they do, but like, that would be a reason why you'd want to kind of continue to do this, potentially. Don't know, but maybe.
But he had to do something. Like, Florida State had to address this, and I think that's why they put out the statement, which I think is smart. You think they just could have gone on and act like nothing was going on?
No. I right. When you said you had to do something, I thought you meant like had to fire him today.
No.
But like, you
the elephant in the room.
I was thinking like I would be surprised but not shocked if he coached another game.
That's what but he is going to coach another game now.
That's what I said on Nolcast. I said I would be surprised but not like shocked if he did get to coach another game.
Mm-hmm.
So is there any good reason other than get your ducks in a row that he is still going to be coaching?
I don't think Gus wants to be a head coach again. So
not even in an interim standpoint?
I would bet they would go to Odell Higgins to do it.
Is this the third time Odell's had to do it?
Exactly, yeah. And he's still around the program, obviously. So, he could step in and do it if you wanted him to. I don't know. We'll see.
Jeez. Tom, outsider's perspective?
Fade in the Knowles the rest of the year. That's a damn certainty. I don't know. It's all weird to me. What do you like? You going back ever since what happened a few years ago, I just feel like there's no spine to the program. Like, as soon as anything goes wrong, it never just goes wrong one week. It just keeps getting worse every single week after week after week. And it's just, I don't know. Like, I like to troll you guys over Florida State. It's fun for me, but it's getting to the point where it's like, no, there's really no point to it anymore. They're just bad. I would rather Florida State be good than be in this situation, just because when they're good, it's much more fun for me to troll Bud and Danny.
There was, a lot of reporting yesterday, headlines about the conversations that are ongoing with boosters and stakeholders. Our own Chris Hummer wrote on CBSSports.com. It looks like Mike Norvell made it through Sunday, and then his final paragraph said things like, "We'll see about Monday or Tuesday." You make this announcement, so you just don't keep doing that, right? You just, even if it just gets all of that as this headline replaces that headline. You know what I'm saying?
If you underpromise, over-deliver, and end up pulling the string in 2 weeks,
that's fine.
Right.
No harm done there. So
the awkward thing is going to be like the ribbon cutting move in of the new football facility.
Yeah. So did we talk about that on the air, or was that off the? Okay, that's what I thought. That was an interesting part, and that is still happening, right? Today,
supposed to be this week.
About moved. So,
and that is, and just so I get my details right. So that is a brand new or a revamped
Brand
football
new.
only,
Brand new.
Yeah.
football
Phenomenal.
only facility. And
The new coach is going to love it.
I mean,
Right.
that's
Mike
because, like,
Norvell's
everything's
office.
boxed up. They're ready to go, and he's the
Yeah.
one that's supposed to.
This is what we were
set
saying.
up
Like
for him.
Norvell's office is packed up. Yeah.
But it's like as big as my house. Like it's huge. I kid you not. Like the
Humble brag. What the
no.
Wait, with the pool?
I'm in the office.
Right. Which part of that though? I don't know. So I think it's probably 2,500, 3,000 square feet. My house is a little bit bigger than that. But I mean, the point is, it's a huge, huge space that overlooks the practice field. And it is a palace. It's a palatial players only facility. It is. I mean, it is going to be a little bit, the ribbon cutting ceremony is going to be a little bit awkward. Now things get a little bit more uncomfortable, but they already were.
Yeah.
Because you're losing. Like that just makes it uncomfortable. Now at least everyone knows exactly what's at stake these last games. So maybe that's your pitch to Mike Norvell. If you wanted a different message, hey, if you want me around, we better win out.
It's kind of like showing a house that's owner occupied or showing a house that's already vacant.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, we that's my pitch. We all have a mutual friend who's searching for real estate right now. My pitch was that they just, and they've got a real estate connection. Just live in the houses that you're selling, all right. So from the job that is not going to be open this week to the job that is open this week. Yesterday, Bud and I were able to jump on the horn, break down the breaking news of Billy Napier being out. Not surprising news, though it did come after a win. It'd be like that. And we warned you, just because you beat Mississippi State does not necessarily change something that might have already been in the works for a while. So let's go ahead and spin this thing forward. Danny, how do you see this Florida job? How do you see this Florida search? What are the parts of it that are standing out to you right now?
It's one that you can't afford to screw up, but even just saying that, they can screw it up, as we've seen before.
Yeah.
Like there's no 100% lock. There's just over time. I just got back from Wisconsin. I thought Luke Fickell was an A+ hire. It's been worse than anybody could have imagined. I do think there's some guys on a short list that I would call, but Lane Kiffin would be number one, but I'm not so certain he's leaving. I think he's one. I think Rhett Lashley is another one that I would call. I'd call Eli Drinkwitz. Like a lot of these same names, I think would be really good hires. But, and we've talked a little bit about this, I think, last week. This, I think, is the type of place where you need somebody with the alpha type of personality who can say, everybody get out of my way, leave me alone, let me coach, let me do my thing, give me the money, and give me the money to go get my players, but get out of my way. There's a lot of dysfunction. There's a lot of different voices and this is not just exclusive to Gainesville. It's a lot of different universities where some of the power players do more damage than actual, help. So, yeah, I think it's a great job, but I think it's going to take a very strong personality to come in there and take this thing over and really get this thing turned in the right direction.
Tom?
I do think that one of the interesting things here is that, like, the job market's changed very quickly in the last few years, whereas I think like Penn State's going through a coaching search right now, and they haven't had one in like 20 years. So it's like for them, there's a huge change in it. But even if you just haven't done it in a few years, like it's not just we're the bigger program, we're going to write the bigger check and you're going to come, because like all the other sitting coaches in the Big Ten and the SEC are also still getting paid a ton of money. So like if you go after Lane Kiffin, okay, we can offer you this much. Well, Ole Miss can match it. Well, you can recruit better here. Well, you can still recruit to Ole Miss because now you can just buy players and get them out of the portal. It's the same thing with Drinkwitz. It was the same thing with Signetti at Indiana. So, like, your top targets aren't necessarily as gettable as you want, but you're still going to go after them. And that's why I feel like I don't know if he would be the first choice, but he's already on the market. James Franklin. Like, you want somebody who can come in and, like, Dan, you just mentioned, kind of be like the head politician and get everybody in line. James Franklin can do that. He was able to drag Penn State, which was very much stuck in the past when he took over there, with a lot of the same people, with a lot of the same opinions that you'd see at Florida right now. And he was able to kind of get them to shut up and follow his way to help dig them out of that. And obviously they didn't achieve what they ultimately wanted to achieve, but it's hard to argue that they didn't achieve a whole hell of a lot. And if you're Florida right now, Like, yeah, the Urban Meyer era was a long time ago, fellas. Like you've still got a lot of built-in advantages, but you've kind of got to build that program back up. You've got plenty of talent, but I do think you need alignment, and I feel like James Franklin is somebody who can bring it. If you miss out on Kiffin and Drinkwitz, who I perfectly understand why both of those guys would be the top targets on your list.
With Franklin, I think it's the because I totally agree with you. I think he's going to be a really good hire for somebody. I think Florida State, I think it'd be a pretty good hire, especially considering what they need as far as recruiting high school. I think he'd do a wonderful job there. I would want to know, what's your staff going to look like? What coordinators are you going to bring with you? And what type of control are you going to give them? And the big game thing, I know it's an issue, but I do, and I think in the SEC, maybe that could be problematic. In the ACC, I don't know if you're having that many significant problems. So I think James Franklin is a great hire, and I mean, if I'm believing what he said, which is I'm going to get right back into it, I think he's going to get one of these top tier jobs.
So Bud pushed back. He said when we were talking about this yesterday, Bud said he thought Florida fans would be disappointed with James Franklin as a hire.
So
Absolutely.
I do think there is something to that. I do kind of agree with
Like
Bud
if you're
on
a booster
that
at
one,
Florida, you're not happy with that hire.
because he's somebody else's trash. Like you don't, that Florida, they want to have somebody
he's flopped in almost every big game. Like last year, they did not beat a single team that was top 15 in SP plus. All right. Like if you're a Florida fan,
yeah, I guarantee you Florida boosters
win
are weak SP plus.
Okay? Like SMU and Boise, like they're not like, oh, good wins there, right? It's like, okay, like you lucked your way into the semifinals. Like is what they're gonna think.
So you're going to hire a coach who hasn't been in any big games to lose? Like, what are you looking for? Like you hired Billy Napier from Lafayette, and now you're going to look down on James Franklin?
Franklin's teams don't score points, and I think given what you've seen with Florida when they had Muschamp and when they had Napier, I do think that offense is going to be an emphasis.
Yeah, that's why I think Kiffin and Drinkwitz are at the top of their list.
Yes, and Fish, I think they would have over Franklin, and probably 2-3 more guys too. But I think Franklin would do a good job there. But like they want somebody to do a great job.
I would just say if you were a Florida booster and you look at James Franklin and turn your nose down at him, you're the reason why your program has sucked for as long as it has, because that's just an idiotic opinion to have.
They'd want to know, why can you win big games here when you couldn't win at Penn State?
Because I'll have better.
But how many big games has Lane Kiffin won?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think if you're Florida,
yeah, but see, it's a bunch of young buts.
Yeah,
look,
like Florida,
he scores points. He's kind of a native son. Obviously, like Florida has a lot more resources than Ole Miss does. Now it's closer than it used to be, to Tom's point. Like he absolutely nailed that. But if you're Lane, you jump to Florida because you don't really believe you can win a national title at Ole Miss, and I think you're correct in that belief.
Gosh, I don't know. So you think he's leaving?
I didn't say I think he's leaving. I'm saying if you're Lane, the reason why you would jump to Florida, it's probably not salary. Right?
I don't know. I think today's
location. The reason's in the name of the school.
Yeah. I mean, we got Vanderbilt on the cusp of competing for an SEC championship. Aren't in this new era, aren't you closer to winning a title anywhere you go? I mean, are there 5 programs that you actually have a significant edge? But
I think there's something to be said for Florida getting it done.
Location.
Florida getting it done with multiple coaches, being the flagship university of the state of Florida. I mean,
no state tax in Florida. That does give you a bit of an NIL edge too.
Oxford, Mississippi still might be a little bit of a sell, you know?
Yeah, it's hard to get to. Yeah.
Not calling Gainesville a bustling metropolis, but at least when you're trying to get the best high school talent, if you want to level it up, because he has shown, obviously at Ole Miss, we call him the Portal King, but if you want to be able to build that thing up to be sustainable, right, you gotta be able to have the high school recruiting going, and I think you've got a better chance at better high school recruiting at Florida than you do at Ole Miss.
W knows better. W don't though, right? Like Lane is probably pretty happy at Ole Miss. I think they give him what he asked for. He knows who he's working for. Scott Strickland got that extension, but I think it's fair to ask, like, would he have received that extension had Florida had a real president right now, not an interim, and a dean of the medical school and a dean of the law school? Like they have other real like university business stuff they got to tackle. Is that extension kind of like, hey, Scott, handle this, type thing, and then transition into retirement? Like he's already botched 2 coaching hires there. Like most people don't get to make 3. So if you're Lane, it's like, who am I working for going forward? How long is Scott really going to be the AD? Don't know.
If
you're
care? Worried about your dean of medical school before your football coach, you're not a football school.
Ooh, they're a hoop school, right? Ask Jacqueline.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know Big Ten schools who haven't had deans of certain colleges who are still making football hires.
That's right. We just find some guy named Dean, and because we're all academics here in the Big Ten, we can just say everybody can do it. Colorado State made a move on Jay Norvell, which of course led to Norvell out tweet. Like if you wanna,
that was pretty good.
Just throw a little bit of just to keep us up to date, to stay consistent on the coaching carousel as we continue to see some of the open jobs pile up. As we have been recording here, 11:21 a.m. Eastern time since the start of the hour. I don't know if y'all saw it, but Chris McIntosh, athletic director at Wisconsin, has offered a statement of support for Luke Fickell.
What?
Monday support letter.
Yeah.
Day.
That one may be more surprising, and maybe it's because I was just there, but everybody was like, yep, he's got to be fired tomorrow. But then I guess who are you going to throw out to the Wolves for the remainder
but
of
if you
the
fire
schedule?
him, are you firing yourself?
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who are they waiting on? Like, is there is it more than just self-interest of the AD not getting fired himself? Like,
could be.
I don't know. On a candidate?
The first, as again, this was just released from the desk of Chris McIntosh. It's a lot of I and it's a lot of me. On Saturday at Camp Randall, I was honored to join my former Rose Bowl champion teammates and coaches on the field as the university celebrated our collective success. My years as a student athlete at Wisconsin were among the best of my life. I loved my teammate. Boy, we haven't said one word about Luke Fickell yet. I mean, this is this might be self-preservation. I wouldn't be surprised.
But I guess they're going to throw a lot more money at this problem from what people on Twitter are saying. Is that in the statement? I haven't read the statement yet. Just looking at some of the Twitter reactions.
Yeah, he's asking fans to stick with Luke Fickell and continue the financial investment in the program. Okay. Support letter Mondays. Let's go. Hey, I don't see one from the desk of Auburn.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday, right?
That the dynamic with the supporters and who, yeah.
But that may be a negotiation thing too. Like, if you're Hugh and you want to coach again, writing's on the wall. There's probably a way to do this that makes you look a little bit better.
It was so funny because you were bringing up the defensive coordinator who might be the interim, who might win games, which made me remember Kevin Steele, who tried to do that to Gus Malzahn. And then I started thinking about how funny it would be if Gus Malzahn did that to Florida State. But I understand the truth that we all accept is that Gus doesn't want to be Florida State's head coach or a head coach really again.
And I don't think Florida State has any interest in hiring the guy who was awful at UCF.
He was not awful at UCF.
Once they got to the Big 12, they were not competitive.
Without a full share.
That's totally true.
And he didn't have them SMU boosters.
He did pretty clearly message he didn't want to deal with all the stuff that came with being a head coach.
Right. Right. Okay, so Florida's open. We've got support letters at Wisconsin and Florida State. What's the next job that opens? Is it Auburn?
South Carolina or LSU? Is Beamer going to get now? Granted, this is complicated because I think normally if they had not given Beamer the extension for, I don't really know that there was a need to give an extension in the offseason, but had they not given him the extension, I think it's a very obvious go home to Virginia Tech, restart the clock move for Shane. But because they gave the extension, I don't know.
I don't think Shane's going to get fired. I think Shane would leave.
That's right. Well, yeah, the next job open though.
So you're thinking he's going to leave during the season?
No, probably Auburn is the right one. I was just thinking of the ones we had not discussed yet.
Yeah.
Apologies.
If you're Lane Kiffin and you had a choice between Florida and LSU, where would you go?
Ooh.
I think Lane would go to Florida.
Yeah.
And if you're Brian Kelly, would you go to Penn State?
Yeah.
Would Penn State won?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
These are good coaches.
Can we Can we put the Marcus Freeman stuff to bed?
Yes.
I mean, that's just the most obvious. Hey, his agent's shopping him out there to get a raise at Notre Dame. I mean, it's perfect there.
Maybe, but he's also 39 years old and he's a stud. So any 39-year-old who's on the rise in the industry, you say, call him and make him tell him no. Because here's the deal. When Kurt Cignetti says, I'm going to retire a Hoosier, you believe it because he's deep into his career. Marcus Freeman, you're like, I don't know. That guy could have a couple big moves in him. We could see him jump from one blue blood to another blue blood. Maybe we can be that blue blood. So I think that you put Marcus Freeman on the top of your list to indicate that you have the credentials to be in the running for Marcus Freeman. I do not think, until I see or hear otherwise, Marcus Freeman is making himself available. I think that's something that you do for street cred if you have an open job.
Are there certain things that they want in recruiting, I don't know, or transfer credits, like how they transfer over to allow them to access a greater portion of the transfer portal?
I don't know, man. Georgia Tech and Vanderbilt are up in the college football playoff mix. I think I'm done thinking that academics is a limiting factor to success on the football field.
Yeah, but Notre Dame's trying to be in the title mix, and Vandy and those guys are not in the title mix. They're in the make the playoff mix.
But their recruiting classes have been good.
Yeah, but if you're Marcus Freeman and you got this kind of leverage right now and you're trying to win the whole damn thing, you could push for more money. You could push for, you have a lot of money to pay your assistants. And guaranteed Denbrock and Golden before him and Chris Ash were not cheap. Right?
Do not give Chris Ash. He can earn that. He can earn that the rest of the way.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think Notre Dame's not that all that worried about academics for football. Just to be blunt.
I know Feldman had said it on his show that one of the things that you would be looking for is allow him to cast a wider net in the portal.
I think that Notre Dame's limitations are some schools will take kids that should probably be in a JUCO because they're not actually qualified. I don't think Notre Dame will take those kids. I think that you don't really need a stirring transcript to get into Notre Dame if you're very good at football.
But a lot of times they won't take you unless you're a graduate or unless you're very early in your career.
Oh, shoot. Hold on. As somebody who flirted with academic eligibility, I am familiar with this. Okay. So it's this many hours and this GPA. It's like a sliding scale. You need to have this many hours of credits and this GPA to qualify to be a junior, to qualify to be a senior, those sorts of things. Is that what you're talking about, Bud?
Yes.
Legitimately, there was a quarterback who was at a Sunbelt school who was trying to transfer as an undergraduate, and they realized that their credits did not allow them to be able to.
The credits don't transfer over, so you got to be a grad transfer, or you got to be young enough to where them not taking your credits
not that high. Yeah,
correct. Yeah,
it took a whole lot of summer school for me to be able to get right for my fall semester senior year. But hey, that's overcoming adversity on the field in the streets of Chapel Hill.
Getting out of the admissions department, I will say, if I'm a Notre Dame fan, the only time I'm really going to worry about Freeman leaving is if Ohio State comes open. That would be the only one I think that could truly lure him away from South.
Or if the NFL just
maybe the NFL,
one of those big FU offers,
I think Marcus will use NFL openings for raises at Notre Dame, like he did kind of last year with the Bears opening. But I don't know if he's really all that interested in going to the NFL.
Yep. I think that's a good way to put a button. As Danny, I think we agree. We're putting Freeman to bed. Not going to entertain that. Okay. Coming up on the other side, we take a look at the new AP Top 25. We update our college football playoff projection and more. Next.
Only CBS Sports can bring you big time during the heart of Saturday afternoons. It's big time.
It's big time. It's big time. It's big time.
On CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast, among the orders of business for a Monday, we take a look at the changes in the college football rankings. It is Poll Assassin. All right. Of course, no changes as Ohio State remains in the number 1 spot. Unanimous over in the coaches poll, all 65 first place votes, 60 first place votes in the AP top 25, Indiana getting the other 6. A tumble as we would expect for Miami as the Canes fall to Louisville on Friday night. They are down 7 spots to number 9. Texas Tech, another team that was previously in the top 10 and lost to an unranked team. Texas Tech falls 7 spots from number 7 to number 14. There was going to be some shakeup. We had 5 ranked games, and some of that changes include LSU taking a drop after the loss to Vanderbilt, but not out. Tennessee takes a drop after the loss to Alabama, but not out. A very small downgrade for Ole Miss as the Rebels just took their first loss of the season, down 3 spots to number 8. You see a big surge for Vanderbilt up into the top 10, though honestly, disrespectful. 10's too low for that Vanderbilt team. I'll go ahead and throw that out there. They needed to be higher. I wanted to see some school history here on Sunday in the AP Top 25. The other notable moves up include just some slight bumps. Cincinnati keeps the winning ways going as they take a couple spots up. BYU 7-0 now after the win against Utah. They were up 4 spots to number 11. And the Bees, Georgia Tech, up 5 spots to number 7. DK, whether it's movements, rankings, or specific ballots, what stood out this week? Ooh, muted. Leaf blower.
The blower's still going.
Boy, I was trying to help out the show.
I know. It's
the
so
guys
good,
out there,
yeah.
right? Okay, they're gone now, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. So no more leaf blowers. I think I got a little bit lazy. Usually I'm trying to stay on this, trying to stay on the voters, make sure they're paying attention, bring some things to their attention. For instance, when we had Texas and Penn State lose, it was like, all right, can we start looking at who they've beaten? And they had unprecedented drops out of the top 25, and we applauded them. Way to go. But you got to stay on top of these guys. You got to stay on top of them, because I would ask the same question for Tennessee and LSU now with 2 losses apiece. Yeah. Where are their best wins? And yet they just kind of dropped them because they were in their top 25. Well, let's just put them about 5 or 6 spots down. Let's just ding them a little bit. But if you look at them, who have they beaten? They really don't have those signature wins. If you wanted to say LSU beat Clemson, sure, but Clemson just lost again. That's not really a resounding win. I think there are other teams more deserving that should be ahead of those 2 teams. So I got to do a better job of getting on these voters early Sunday AM, help them do their research a little bit.
Like USC.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is Tennessee like 10 spots ahead in the voting polls than USC?
Fair.
Yeah. Those resumes are.
USC handled Michigan, which is at 25.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, USC has a good win. Tennessee has a good loss, and kind of the Bama game was probably somewhat closer than the scoreboard in some ways. I mean, that 99-yard pick six changes quite a bit, but
but it still happened.
It did. No, it did. Yeah,
right.
No, I agree, but defensive scores are one play, and they're somewhat random. Now, granted, maybe they're a little bit less random with Joey Aguilar, but that feels like too big of a gap to me there.
Quick little sidebar. Have you all seen any of the fan footage or some of the other in the stadium cameras from that pick six?
No.
Bryant-Denny Stadium just
lit.
Just took the top off. I mean,
I saw something down 2 miles down the road. There was some guy outside, and I heard the crowd.
I believe it. Again, I've taken in a couple of these, whether it was one of the photographer media members who was down there on the sideline or fans who were down there in the lower bowl. Bryant-Denny Stadium is such a behemoth that I think that sometimes it does take the surprising sort of good play to really get to see what the full volume is. Scoop and scores, pick sixes, those are the ones where you're just that thing might have levitated. It was a very, very cool. And in the rivalry too, in the night game under the lights, Bryant-Denny Stadium roared during that play. And
it reminded me of the was it 2009? The Julio screen pass against LSU.
Oh, where he
shook they couldn't do it. It's down the same sideline. You have it's such a long play, long developing. It's obvious he's going to score. Like the long buildup of the crowd volume as he heads to the end zone.
Yeah. Dude, I think Greg McElroy told a cool story on his radio show with Cole Kubelik about how earlier in that game, Julio had dropped like 2 or 3 passes in a row. I guess they must have been talking about Ryan Williams. And he was like, no, we just keep feeding him. And guess what happened? One of the best plays of the entire season. Special athletes like that. Julio Jones. All right. Sorry for the sidebar. Tom, any
great sidebar.
Rankings wise?
I mean, Danny touched on it a little bit. LSU still being at 20 despite not having a win over a Power 4 team with a winning record. Like their best win record-wise is Louisiana Tech at 4-2. Like congratulations on that. And then you've got some guy like named Brett McMurphy still including them at 14th on his ranking. And then a woman named Haley Sawyer. I don't know if we've brought that name up. Also has them up at 14th. It's like I just don't understand. Like I understand they were in the top 5 a month ago. But what the hell have you seen from that team since? And compared to how that resume has collapsed, like, let's reevaluate things, fellas, because they're not a good football team. I picked them to win the national title with 1,000% confidence before the year. I've sold all my stock. I've changed my mind. I have seen the light. They are not good. They're not bad, but they're just an average-ish team. They should not be in the top 20. They should not be anywhere near the top 20 right now. They probably shouldn't be ranked. And Chip, you already mentioned my other big point, just hilarity. That Michigan is at 25th and USC is the first team and others receiving votes, even though I think it was 9 days ago that USC beat Michigan like pretty soundly.
31-13.
But since USC lost to Notre Dame, now they're worse than Michigan again. I just love when stuff like that happens. I mean, and it's going to happen at this point in the year when there's a lot more, familiarity between all these teams.
Anything else before we get to CFP outlook? Okay. October is winding down. That means November will be here soon. We will be getting our official college football playoff rankings, but you don't have to wait for a Cover 3 college football playoff prediction. Our own Bud Elliott has run the BudBot model, and he has an updated list. Bud, why don't you take us through what the college football playoff projection is looking like as we head into week 9?
Sure. So 2 things. One, you said it, projection, right? This is not, hey, if the playoffs started today, right? This is what
I don't like playoffs started today until we get into like mid-November because there's too many data points left and the schedules are imbalanced. I like the way you do this.
I would agree. Number 2, BudBot does not consider like rematches as something the committee would probably try to avoid, right? But in this case, it does actually have the SC championship and the Big Ten championship rematching there in terms of the teams who get the bye. So Ohio State 1, Indiana 4, and then Bama 2, A&M 3. I have USF winning the American right now, obviously with Memphis quarterback injury. Don't know the status, but that didn't look great. So I'm assuming that's going to be a bit of a problem for the Memphis Tigers. Still have Miami winning the ACC. The models don't really trust Georgia Tech and Virginia very much right now, to be honest, despite the fact they did win at Duke. Notre Dame, because somebody's got to be in. Texas Tech still the overwhelming favorite to win the Big 12, despite their loss in Tempe. Vandy makes the first appearance this year. So, I mean, certainly Missouri's quite a winnable game, for them right there.
They're favored.
Yeah. And, I mean, look, Oklahoma's favored by 4.5 over Ole Miss. Now, I don't know if that should be the case, but maybe. Still have Ole Miss getting in as of now. Ole Miss 10-2 will be an interesting conversation. Ole Miss 9-3 is dead in the water.
Yeah.
Right.
Ole Miss 10-2, you have to start asking who have you beaten, just like we would for everybody else. We should be asking that for Ole Miss.
Yeah, and then Georgia, because obviously they just keep winning ball games. So, even if we want to sit here and say they're not the same Georgia, yeah, but they're winning games, and it's not easy to win ball games, and they don't have a cakewalk schedule. So,
no, Ohio State is the old Georgia. Georgia is now a really plucky, good SEC team.
I know we're not going to UFR yet, but dude. Sayin is just so damn efficient with how he distributes the ball to these guys. Like that's.
Yeah, I've got more Ohio State stuff too. We can go total flowers on Ohio State in a little bit. So the Notre Dame piece of this, you've got them going 10-2.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah,
there is no Notre Dame gets in at 9-3.
Not a chance.
Okay.
No, it's like BYU is probably an underdog a couple more times, and if they continue to, I see the chat. If they continue to win, then they'll be in. If they don't, they won't. They don't have a real non-conference game. I don't think 11-1 BYU that loses in the championship game is going to get in.
Have you ever And Danny, feel free to offer. Have you ever mentioned an idea, something you want to write about, a project you want to work on, and then you get into it, and then you're like, oh no, what have I done? Yeah, that was me when I was like, hey, I can reset the ACC title race. Have you guys looked at this?
Oh, it's wild.
There's a chance Miami doesn't get in.
Yeah, because here's the thing.
No
They've
chance.
lost.
All right.
They have lost a common opponent tiebreaker to Virginia. Because Virginia beat Louisville and Louisville beat Miami, and before we get down to cumulative conference record of your conference opponents, before we even get to that status, there is a common opponent tiebreaker. And since Miami and Virginia don't play each other, if the two of them are fighting for one spot, then Virginia gets in over Miami.
Let me just put this to bed. You're talking about the ACC championship, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
They all went out. If Miami's 11-1 and doesn't make the ACC championship game, they are 100% in.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually the best case.
I wrote about this on Saturday night.
Yeah.
You
guys nailed it. Because if Miami goes and wins the ACC championship, they're going to leave everybody else out.
Right.
That's
Miami losing.
Georgia Tech is not getting in, boys.
For the ACC's playoff hopes, there's a strong argument that Miami losing on Friday night was great for the ACC because of that exact.
It is a factually correct statement.
Yes,
and I do think so. Is Notre Dame in trouble because of the head-to-head loss to Miami? Like if it's 11-1 Miami against 10-2 Notre Dame, see that's what I thought.
I don't think
kind
there's
of upset.
No, I don't think that's the argument.
No, but there's a possibility that that's a situation where the final at-large is coming down to 11-1 Miami versus 10-2 Notre Dame. It's not a high likelihood.
I think
they're either both or just Miami.
4 in and not 5.
Right.
What if Notre Dame? Hold on. Oh, wait, never mind. That wouldn't work.
Because the Big 12 is now a one-bid league.
Yeah,
feels like it.
Texas
now the Texas Tech lost. They're a one bid.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
If the ACC becomes a 2-bid, then I actually think it's Irish versus SEC 5.
What about Georgia Tech as an at-large?
I think there's no shot.
Whoa!
If they're 12-0 in the regular season and losing the ACC championship,
right. Okay. If they beat Georgia, then yes.
Yeah.
But I also think if they lose to Georgia and that's their only loss and it's close, maybe 9 overtimes.
If you lose to Georgia and Miami, who have you beaten?
11-1.
Here's where we have to get
11-1 in a power conference gets in.
But here's where we have to get the tinfoil hat out, though, because we saw last year, and it's only 1 year, so it's not proof of anything. But the committee is not all that interested in punishing championship game losers because I don't think the conferences want them to. So if Georgia Tech is 11-1 in the regular season and then loses close to like Virginia or Miami in the ACC championship, we saw it last year with SMU. Nobody thought that they were going to put in SMU over Alabama, and guess what they did? So I think Georgia Tech, as long as they have one loss going into the ACC championship, they've got a good shot of getting in no matter what, because that fifth SEC team will have at least 3 losses.
Louisville, a little bit of an uphill battle in terms of making the ACC title game because of the head-to-head loss against Virginia. They need Virginia to lose twice in conference play before the end of the season for things to really open it up.
I don't agree that the fifth SEC team will have 3 losses.
You think we'll have 5 teams that have 2 or less losses?
That's correct. I think there is a very legitimate chance of that.
I'm skeptical.
So that would be a cream rises to the oil and water, cream rises to the top like that. You are saying that what looks like a muddled picture there will be some separation in the coming weeks.
Yes.
Like if Ole Miss beats Oklahoma.
Do you think Auburn's turning around? Do you think South Carolina's turning around? Mississippi State, Kentucky?
Well, I'm thinking more about like Texas. You'd be saying that Vanderbilt beats Missouri, that Ole Miss beats Oklahoma, and you start to slide down your Sooners, you start to slide down your Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
How are you still gonna have 5? What'd you say? 5, 10, and 2?
It's actually really possible.
I don't think it's.
I mean, just looking at, I'm going to go right here off of Kelly Ford's projected SEC standings, which are only in conference. You go to 5th place, which is Texas. He projects them to win 5.4 games in SEC play, which would mean that they are 5.4 and 1.6 and 2, and they've got the Ohio State loss. That's 3 losses.
5.4 and 2.6.
Yeah. Which
right. So you basically need to be a half win lucky for that 5th team.
And well, we'll have more on Texas later, but yeah. Like, I think that fifth team is going to have 3 losses because, like, we know that the SEC from top to bottom is just the greatest league on earth and that there are no Saturdays off in the ACC. Like, as we saw when Texas played Kentucky, Kentucky's a damn behemoth. It's a monster. It's damn near impossible to beat.
Yeah, it just is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Georgia Tech against 9-3 SEC. If Georgia Tech is 11-2, the SEC team is still going to have way better wins, but it also will have additional losses. So if Tech is close in those 2 games, maybe. But I think if they get their doors blown off, which is unlikely, then no. Like, one of the reasons SMU got in, I strongly think, is because they were competitive. If SMU had gotten run by Clemson, I think they sneak Bama in.
Yeah, it was what?
There are a lot of variables still in play.
Right, yeah.
Interesting. All right.
I think what's cool is that there's like still so many teams in. Like, look how many people we have in the chat whose teams we don't have in who are calling us idiots. Like, that's great for the health of the sport that you have like probably 20, 25 fan bases that are still really caring right now.
And
we didn't have that 2 years ago.
Yeah, and sugar makes you feel good for a little bit. So it's
fine.
Yeah. Okay. And now it's time for the Brilliantly Boring Wins of the Week, brought to you by PNC Bank, where we highlight the boring actions that make the biggest difference. Slow and steady isn't just a saying, it's a proven strategy. Consistent, deliberate financial decisions help build a strong financial foundation and lead to the most meaningful wins. There's no need to chase risky ventures or fall for quick fixes. At PNC Bank, they keep your money simple and stable so that you can live with the confidence that your future is on solid ground. And when I think about the small things and doing them well, sometimes it's about being able to handle success. And so after handing the Oregon Ducks one of the most stunning results of the season, maybe one of the best wins we'll see all year, Indiana had to come back home as a heavy favorite against Michigan State. And Curt Cignetti said after the game that he understood that there was going to be some human nature to be relaxed. He said the coaches, the support staff, and even the players. But he had to be a little mean. He had to get into them a little bit. He had to make sure that they had the details right. He said that he thought on Thursday, quote, it flipped. A couple days, it wasn't quite there, but they got back to doing the small things well, and it showed up on Saturday. Fernando Mendoza, 332 passing yards on 24 of 28 passing with 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Obviously still a little bit of a threat in the run game as well. And this time it was Omar Cooper Jr. who stepped up for a lot of that, 115 of those receiving yards and a score, including a 48-yarder. Tom, what stood out to you about Indiana just simply handling its business, doing the small things well in a potential letdown spot?
Yeah, it was just a clinical performance. Like, they only had the 7-3 lead after the first quarter, and you did kind of wonder, are they going to be caught hanging around? But no, they put their foot on the gas. You mentioned it. Fernando Mendoza just went off for 332 yards, 4 touchdowns. He looks every bit the Heisman candidate that he is at this point. They've got so many different options at receiver in Cooper, Williams, Surratt, Nowakowski. All these guys are valuable players to have, and like each one of them seems like every single week a new guy stepping forward as the guy in that game, and that's just such a luxury to have that most programs don't even have. A lot of the other great programs don't have that to this point. And defensively, just they shut Michigan State down, and it's a Michigan State team that has had trouble moving the ball, and Indiana did not let them build up any confidence at any point to let them think that they had a shot of winning this game. So just absolutely clinical performance from the Hoosiers.
Yep. 100%. And those were the Brilliantly Boring Wins of the Week, brought to you by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865. Brilliantly Boring since 1865 is a service mark of the PNC Financial Services Group, Inc., PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC. Well, coming up on the other side, we're going under the hood. One last chance to weigh in on Week 8. It's upon further review and more next.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric.
Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount+.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast, Mondays, a chance for one last chance to look back on the week that was. We call it Upon Further Review. There were terrible calls. Do we want to go ahead and jump in?
After further review.
After further review.
After further review.
All right. Let's start with a little bit of
hold on. I want to bring something up real quick because now that the sponsored segment's done and the commercial's done, something you said during the sponsored segment was that Signetti said, "What day did the team really turn things around as far as like the energy and the effort?"
Thursday.
What happened that day? Signetti signed a contract extension. So did the team really turn it around, or was Kurt just in an extra good mood? I think the team was fine all week, and Kurt just came out like, la, 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 I just made a lot of money.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was quoting Mike Krzyzewski, our biggest enemy is human nature, saying he had to get into him, be a little bit of a bad guy, be a little of a mean guy, be able to make sure they were on the right pace. It's an incredible use of lining things up. But I did want to play a game. Danny, your 1993 Florida State national championship team.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember some of the names that were on that defense?
Yeah.
All right, let's just roll through them.
Derek Brooks.
Okay.
Clifton Abraham.
Oh yeah, great cornerback.
Derek Alexander.
Oh yeah, I mean we're talking studs here.
Was Renard Wilson part of that team? He might have been younger. He might have come in right after.
I don't know if he was a starter, but I mean,
they're all over the place.
So I just don't know that I would have had Caden Curry, Averill Reese. You know, I don't know if I would have had Sonny Styles. I don't know if I would have had them in that same conversation. But dadgummit, that's where we are. Because check this out. Ohio State's 41 points allowed through the first 7 games of the season are the least allowed through 7 games since the 1993 Florida State Seminoles.
Devin Bush.
You want to let's back this up. So since 2000,
wow,
there have only been 4 other teams who've allowed less than 50 points. Again, Ohio State's 41 is the least since the Florida State 93 title team. Here's the other teams that have allowed less than 50 points through 7 games since 2000. That is national runner-up, Ohio State in 2007. That is national champion, Alabama Crimson Tide in 2011, national champion, Georgia Bulldogs in 2021, and national champion, Michigan Wolverines in 2023. You want to talk about where we are judging this Ohio State team defensively? We are off to an incredible start in terms of their company.
Wow, so that means they've allowed 41 points, you said?
Correct.
So Illinois scored 40% of the points Ohio State's allowed all season?
Put them in the playoff.
Put them in the playoff.
I'll give you a little anecdote from that season because I remember I actually referenced this after the game, our post game hit. When you're on a team like that where you sense there's greatness and you kind of get that feel, like you try to do things just like set markers even in blowouts. And one thing was to pitch a shutout. So I remember being there like, why is Mickey Andrews just absolutely livid? We're up 45-0. Like, why is he so upset? You know, even though the backups are in, they're like, no, we got to get a shutout. We got to get a shutout. So in Madison this past weekend, Wisconsin's last drive, you had a lot of backups in for Ohio State. They start driving. They're down there. They're getting towards the red zone. All of a sudden, you did notice. So the Buckeye fans that had traveled, the only ones who were left at the stadium, were starting to get really loud, and they needed a 4th down stop, and they got it. And the way they celebrated that 4th down stop was like they celebrated a touchdown drive in the opening drive of a national championship game. Like they just have that sense of we can do something special, and they want to do it and they want to be it. Jeremiah Smith said after the game, we're better than last year's team, and it is almost impossible to argue against in any facet of the game. Maybe offensive line is the one thing where you look at and maybe they need to improve, but
I mean, you had 2 NFL running backs. If you want to specifically only say the running back position, it's hard to say that you're just as good without Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins, but man.
Do we think the D-line is as good?
As last year?
As last year, yeah.
No, not overall. I don't think that they have the same consistency. But I think that their flashes are as good as what we saw last year. I just don't see it from down to down every single week.
I just think they're so damn good in the back seven. You know, like the number of coverages they can play, the talent with which they are able to play those coverages, like the veteran presence they have. They don't bust stuff. It's I just don't know if they take over games like that, like Ohio State did in the playoff. I mean, that D line was just dominant.
I mean, some of that was also the story of that team.
Yeah, true.
Backs against the wall. You know, they'd all come back for that. It's now their hair was on fire. I mean, they were playing a big Bear, you know, and the rest of those old guys. They were playing with a purpose down the stretch. So
no doubt.
Did you want to hit anything on Sayin specifically? Because I had Ohio State's defense on my notepad.
I mean, Julian Sayin's like playing against the computer. It's just like just dot, ball where it's supposed to be, ball's out on time, understands he's got these two freaks at receiver and some nice complementary pieces, really seems to understand the offense and where to go with it. It's just like really consistent, you know. He's good. I don't know if he's like the best quarterback in the country, but he's like top 10.
Yeah.
And with those receivers, and they get so many stops on defense, like how many points are you really going to need to win a game in the playoff?
28.
20s, you feel great, right?
Yeah. Ohio State is told that they're going to average 28.5 points per game in the college football playoff. They're like, sign up for it right now. We're winning the national championship.
Right.
And I went on that rant on Saturday night about that because I am seeing like a whole lot of like, because, you know, you get to this point in the season, everybody's giving Ohio State flowers. Everybody's talking about how great they are. So, of course, people are going to start trying to nitpick and find things that actually aren't good about Ohio State. And like I've seen Julian Sayin as the target of a lot of this. And if you think Julian Sayin is the problem with this offense, you aren't watching or you don't understand football.
Yeah.
Pretty
the
awesome.
Run game is the biggest issue they have on the offense. And I think that's something that could be worked out.
And something that can be helped with the way that everything else is awesome. But you get them down in that first and goal from the 6. It ain't automatic, you know. But yeah, those things can be worked on. All right, Tom, you mentioned you wanted to turn a spotlight on the horns.
Okay, so Texas won against Kentucky on Saturday night in a thriller. I looked it up. Texas's offense in that game averaged negative 0.37 EPA per snap in the win. All right. So I looked it up to see how that performance compared in games between Power 4 opponents this year. That was the 8th worst single game performance of any offense this season in one of those games. And it's the only one of the 31 worst performances by an offense in which that team won the game. The other was LSU, who had an EPA of negative 0.21 per snap in their week 3 win over Florida. I went on the rant Saturday night, Chip, and I meant every single damn word of it. I get Texas out of my life. I don't want to watch that team. I don't want to see that team in the playoff. I don't want to. I'm tired of it. It's been this way all year. Like it started the season against Ohio State, and I was like, well, you know, they're playing a great defense, and then it just has not gotten better in any game that matters. Like, okay, wow, you looked really good against Sam Houston State, who might be the worst team in the country, not named UMass. Congratulations, good for you. But it's just, I'm getting tired of Texas. I'm getting tired of LSU, and I'm almost getting there with Oklahoma because the reality is they're all the same damn team. Their offensive line is horrible. They can't do anything on offense because of it, and their defense is good enough to help them win games against most teams, but not the really good teams. And it's just, if Texas somehow finagles its way to the playoff, we're just going to watch it lose like 17-10 in a first round playoff game.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think we have to worry about it. I've got a question for you guys. Yeah. Mikey's got a clip that I want to play back for you. If you guys ever wondered if Kirby Smart and Dabo Swinney had a baby, what it would grow up to sound like, this is what it would sound like.
These questions seem a little bit negative, I'm not going to lie, guys, to the offense. And I'll say this. It's freaking hard to win in the SEC. Go ask Georgia when they won the national championship what they did against Kentucky last year when they won the SEC championship. What they do against Kentucky last year, it's hard to win the SEC. So we freaking won. Let's put some smiles on our face. We won, and the show goes on, and we're dancing, and at the end of the day, we control our destiny. So we're going to keep on pushing, and we're going to do it with a smile on our face, and there's going to be corrections, and I trust in my guys. I trust in my coaches, and I'm freaking excited. So I want y'all to put some smiles on y'all's face.
I mean,
Hey,
they train them so young in the SEC. It didn't take
Brian
long at
Kelly
all. I mean,
agrees.
they get them in the cradle, like they put them in there and start giving these talking points. Like you have those sound machines that you have that normally play like rain or something like that. They just must play like coaches post-game press conference to kids when they're trying to fall asleep in the SEC. I mean, I don't know if he's got a career in the NFL, but there are a lot of job openings. He would just fit in seamlessly into one of these head coaching openings. That was Michael Taft, by the way.
Yeah.
He's a great player. He's a great kid.
I will say, to defend Michael there, the cliches are amazing, but to his overall point, if you're a player, you should never feel bad about any damn win because you put in a whole hell of a lot of work every single week for every game. So no matter how ugly it is, never feel bad. I agree with him. The rest of us who are looking at the bigger picture, there's a lot of concerns, Mike. I don't think you need to worry about them because your side of the ball is doing all its work.
Yeah.
But there are some concerns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, listen, that defense, y'all are doing, you're putting in good work and you're getting great results. But that offense is extremely problematic. All right. What else do you want to turn your attention before we get out of here for the day?
I want to talk about somebody who nobody ever talks about. Plays for a team that nobody's talking about. His name is Brendan Sorsby. And fellas, he's having an incredible season for the Cincinnati Bearcats, who are one of two teams remaining in the Big 12 who have yet to lose a conference game, who are 6-1 on the season, whose only loss was a 3-point loss to Nebraska in a, quote, neutral site game in Kansas City. He is 7th in the country in passing efficiency. He's 8th in yards per dropback. He has 23 total touchdowns, which is tied with Josh Hoover and Fernando Mendoza for the most in the country. He's only thrown 1 interception. He's fumbled 3 times, only lost 1. He's got a whoopsie-daisy rate of 1.06%. He is magical at avoiding sacks. He has a 26.5 to 1 pressure to sack ratio, folks. That is the best among the qualified quarterbacks. He's only been sacked twice. The next best is Malik Washington at 19.3 to 1. On the other side, there's Jackson Arnold, who gets sacked for every 3 pressures, and Dylan Raiola, who gets sacked for every 2.81. He is having a phenomenal season. He is one of only 2 quarterbacks in the country to be completing at least 65% of their passes while averaging over 10 air yards per attempt.
Damn.
The other is Notre Dame's C.J. Carr. He's never mentioned as one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He's never mentioned as a typical Heisman candidate, and I don't think he's going to win the Heisman. But the fact is, Brendan Sorsby's playing great. Cincinnati is winning every single damn week. We never even mention them as a Big 12 title contender, even though they're still very much in the race, and he's having one of the best seasons of any quarterbacks in the country. Let's start paying more attention to the Bearcats because they might just sneak into the playoff.
On the Cover 3 recruiting hour with Andrew Ivins, we gave Zach Grant and that staff the GM of the Week honors. They do a pretty good job. Like, that's a nice roster they've built. And, if Sorsby doesn't throw that YOLO ball at the end of the game against Nebraska, I mean, as confident as you can be that Cincinnati's going to win that game in overtime.
Because they couldn't stop Sorsby.
They were bullying them in the run game too. Yeah.
Yeah, Cincinnati's got a couple good running backs there to really sort of keep defenses honest in terms of not just being able to tee off on Sorsby. It's a fun team. They're a good football team. So it'll be interesting to see as Cincinnati continues their march towards trying to make the Big 12 title game. Again, a muddied picture after the weekend. Cincinnati, a 5.5-point favorite against Baylor at home. BYU, a 2.5-point underdog on the road at Iowa State.
Wow.
I mean, we're about to get ready to learn tiebreakers, buddy.
The disrespect.
Four teams tied for first place in the Big 12 last year. It'll be interesting to see what the picture ends up looking like.
Bud's going to come walking into the reaction show if BYU loses next week like Ric Flair. He's going to have the make on. He's going to be strutting it.
He can't
Florida
stop.
State
You
Florida
do
State got
wanna-
the primetime matchup again.
Do you just want to pre-lock up Iowa State on that one? just to continue.
Pre-lock Iowa State.
Yeah, just go ahead and lock it in at 2.5. Let's
Oh
go
my
ahead and
God.
buy that up.
I probably should. That is going to be under consideration.
Yeah.
For sure.
One last one here. It was billed as one of the games of the week in the Sun Belt, and JMU just, belt to ass.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was, they kept ODU's offense bottled up. We've known that James Madison defense has been really among the best in the Sun Belt and across the entire Group of 6 level. But how about 6 touchdowns from Alonzo Barnett III, 4 of them on the ground, 2 of them through the air, more than 400 yards of total offense. 63-27 is your final there for JMU against Old Dominion. JMU did not crack the AP Top 25 poll. They were in others receiving votes, but they were one of the biggest movers in the CBS Sports 136, which was updated this morning. James Madison up 15 spots in those rankings because you do a reevaluation of that resume. They are 6-1. The only loss is 28-14 at Louisville. So as Louisville's stock continues to rise, so does JMU's. But when you're doing the college football playoff projections, I think the Dukes might be one to keep an eye on if these teams in the American keep, eating each other alive. A one-loss Sun Belt champion JMU would be a threat to a South Florida or whoever ends up coming out of that conference.
It's an interesting discussion. Like, does it have to be a 3-loss American champ for JMU to get a serious look, or do we think we would have some shot to get over a 1 or a 2-loss?
I think we are just starting to dig into that. I don't think that we've got enough information to have a firm opinion, because you mentioned Brendan Lewis going down, the Memphis quarterback, and sort of what that might mean for the Tigers. North Texas is all over them. Like, I don't know if winning the American carries the cachet that we thought it might have when it looked like all those teams were running hot.
In fairness, and in all sensitivity to Lewis, that actually might help the American in some ways, because you don't need quite as many. Like, you don't need to get 3 teams in. You need to get 1 team in, and not beating each other up as much helps a little bit.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. Boise State also 56-31 over UNLV. Those were 2 results. Our focus has been on the American, but as I look at these other conference title races, Boise State had a battle with a contender. No, sir, you are not on our tier. JMU had a battle with a contender. No, sir, you are not on my tier. So those 2 teams now, I think, sort of take over the pole position, team to beat status in their respective conferences moving forward. All right. Anything else before we start to advance the week? All right. Tuesday, noon Eastern time. We will be live on CBS Sports Network, getting you set for the week ahead in the Big Ten. Then we are back here, youtube.com/cover3 on Wednesday for more big game breakdowns, locks on Thursday. Then we're on to week 9. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fornelli. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow him at Danny Kanell. You can follow me at Chip _Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.